We hunted their ships day and night and found them every time. The waters around the Philippines had become a killing field, and I was there to witness every sinking, every burning hulk, every desperate Japanese vessel that tried to break through our stranglehold. From the cockpit of my F6F Hellcat aboard the USS Essex, I watched as America's naval might crushed the last gasps of the Japanese Empire's supply lines. This is the story of how we sank over 100 enemy ships in just a few months, closing the noose around the Philippines so tight that nothing could escape. As lieutenant in November 1944, I had already flown 42 combat missions in the Pacific. But nothing prepared me for what we were about to unleash on the Japanese forces trapped in the Philippines. General MacArthur had returned, just as he'd promised, and now it was our job to make sure the enemy couldn't reinforce their crumbling positions or evacuate their troops. The morning of November 15th started like any other aboard the Essex, but I could feel the electricity in the air. Captain Ralph Ofstie had called for maximum effort strikes against Japanese shipping lanes between Luzon and the southern islands. Intelligence reports showed heavy enemy convoy traffic, desperate attempts to resupply their isolated garrisons. "Lieutenant, you're leading Blue Flight today," Lieutenant Commander David McCampbell told me as I suited up in the ready room. McCampbell was already an ace several times over, and his calm confidence had a way of steadying the younger pilots. "We've got reports of a large convoy making a run from Manila Bay toward Mindoro. 15 ships, maybe more." I felt my pulse quicken. 15 ships meant a target-rich environment, but it also meant heavy escort fighters and anti-aircraft fire. "What's our loadout, Skipper?" "Standard fighters sweep with 4 5-inch rockets per bird. The dive bombers will follow us in with 1,000-pounders. Your job is to clear the sky and then hit anything that floats." As I climbed into the cockpit of my Hellcat, I ran through the familiar pre-flight routine. The Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engine roared to life with its distinctive growl, 18 cylinders of American engineering that had never let me down. The Essex was cutting through moderate swells at 25 knots, and I could see the other task group 38 carriers spread across the horizon like a steel armada. At 08:00, the flag went up. "Pilots, man your planes." We launched in perfect formation 16 Hellcats from ASX, followed by 12 SB-2C Helderberg dive bombers and 8 TBF Avenger torpedo planes. The weather was clear with unlimited visibility, exactly what we needed for a shipping strike. As we climbed to 15,000 feet, I could see similar formations launching from the Lexington, Bunker Hill, and Wasp. This wasn't just a raid, this was an armada. "Blue Leader, this is Big Base," came the voice of our fighter director controller aboard Essex. "Vector 280, distance 40 miles. Large surface contact with multiple bogies overhead." I keyed my radio. "Blue Flight, this is Blue Leader. Follow me in. Keep your eyes open for zeros." The flight to target took 25 minutes. As we approached the coordinates, I spotted them first, a line of Japanese ships stretching across the water like sitting ducks. I counted quickly. 3 large transport ships, probably carrying troops or supplies, escorted by 2 destroyers and what looked like a light cruiser. Smaller vessels, possibly subchasers and coastal freighters, filled out the convoy. But circling overhead like angry wasps were at least 20 Japanese fighters, a mix of Zero fighters and newer Kone Shin 1K2 George fighters that had been giving our pilots more trouble lately. "Blue Flight, bandits at 2 o'clock high. Let's clear the sky first, then hit the ships. Drop tanks and follow me in." The air battle that followed was pure chaos. The Zeros tried to dive on us from above, but our Hellcats had the advantage of speed and firepower. My .650 caliber machine guns shredded the first Zero that crossed my path, sending it spinning into the sea in flames. Lieutenant Bobby Chen, flying my wing, nailed another that was trying to get on my tail. "Blue 3, you got one coming up behind you?" I called to Ensign Tommy Rodriguez. I see him." Tommy banked hard left, but the persistent Zero stayed with him. I rolled, inverted, and dove, coming up behind the Japanese fighter. My guns hammered out a 3-second burst, and the Zero exploded in a brilliant fireball. Within 10 minutes, we had cleared the sky. 7 enemy fighters were down, with 3 more limping home smoking. We'd lost 1 Hellcat when Ensign Peters took a cannon shell through his engine, but I watched his parachute deploy as he went down. The destroyers would pick him up later. With the air clear, it was time for the real work. I switched my radio to the attack frequency and called in the dive bombers. Hammer Squadron, this is Blue Leader. The sky is clear. You are cleared hot on the big boys. The SB-2C Helldivers rolled over into their attack dives, screaming down at 70-degree angles toward the largest transport ship. I watched as 12,000-pound bombs bracketed the vessel, raising towering columns of water and smoke. The first transport took a direct hit amidships and began listing immediately. Secondary explosions rippled along her deck as ammunition or fuel stores cooked off. But my job wasn't done. I still had 4 5-inch rockets under my wings, and there were plenty of targets below. I rolled into my own attack dive, selecting one of the smaller freighters that was trying to escape toward the coastline. At 2,000 feet, I fired 2 rockets and watched them streak toward the ship. One missed, sending up a geyser of seawater, but the second hit the vessel's stern, erupting in orange flame. I pulled up hard, the G-forces pressing me into my seat, and came around for another pass. My remaining 2 rockets found their mark on the freighter's superstructure, and I followed up with a strafing run that raked the entire length of the ship with 50 caliber bullets. By the time I pulled up, the vessel was dead in the water and burning furiously. Blue Flight. Reform on me, I called. Let's see what the torpedo planes can do to that cruiser. The 8 TBF Avengers came in low and slow, just 50 feet above the waves. The lead cruiser was firing everything it had, 5-inch guns, rapid fire 25 millimeters, even rifle fire from the deck. The water around the torpedo planes erupted in splashes, but these Navy pilots were veterans. They held their course until they were sure of their shots. I watched 4 torpedoes streak through the water toward the cruiser. 2 missed, but 2 found their target. The explosions lifted the cruiser's bow clear out of the water, and when it settled back down, I could see it was already taking on water through a massive hole in its hull. This was just the beginning. Over the next 3 weeks, we flew similar missions almost daily. The Japanese were throwing everything they had at maintaining their supply lines to the Philippines, and we were there to intercept every convoy, every transport, every supply ship that tried to make the run. On November 21st, we caught a massive convoy of 23 ships trying to evacuate troops from Luzon. The battle lasted 4 hours, and when the smoke cleared, 17 Japanese vessels were on the bottom. I personally sank a destroyer with rocket fire and shared credit on 2 transport ships with my squadron mates. The most spectacular day came on December 14th, when our task force intercepted what intelligence called the Luzon Express, 31 Japanese ships making a desperate run from Masao to Manila Bay. It was the largest convoy we'd seen since the war began, loaded with ammunition, fuel, and reinforcements for the Philippine garrison. We launched everything we had. 60 fighters, 40 dive bombers, 30 torpedo planes, and even some of the new F-4U Corsairs that had just joined our air group. The Japanese had nearly 40 fighters covering the convoy, and the resulting air battle was the largest I'd ever seen in the Pacific. The sky was crisscrossed with tracers, contrails, and smoke. Planes were diving, climbing, turning, and burning in every direction. I shot down 2 Zeros in the first 5 minutes and damaged a third so badly that it couldn't stay in the fight. But the real destruction was happening on the surface. Our dive bombers systematically worked over the largest transports, sinking 6 in the first wave. The torpedo planes went after the escorts, crippling 2 destroyers and a light cruiser. Then we fighters came down with our rockets and machine guns to finish off anything still floating. When we finally turned for home, 26 of the 31 Japanese ships were sinking or had already gone under. It was the most complete destruction of an enemy convoy in the war to date, and it meant that thousands of Japanese soldiers would never reach their destinations. But our daytime strikes were only half the story. At night, our destroyers and PT boats took over, prowling the waters around the Philippines like wolves hunting sheep. I got to see their work firsthand when our task force moved close inshore to support operations around Mindoro Island. Lieutenant Commander Jake Sullivan commanded PT 157, one of the Elko 80-foot boats that had been stalking Japanese shipping in the narrow channels between the islands. I met him during a brief port call at Hollandia, where our task force was refueling. "You flyboys are doing good work up there," Sullivan told me over coffee in the base mess hall. "But you should see what happens after dark. The Japs think they can sneak their supply runs past us under cover of darkness." They're wrong. Sullivan had 23 confirmed sinking to his credit, mostly small coastal freighters and barges that tried to move supplies from island to island. His boat carried 4 torpedo tubes and multiple machine gun mounts, plus a crew of 14 men who had been fighting in the Pacific for over 2 years. Just last week, we caught a convoy of 8 barges trying to run supplies to the garrison on Mindoro, he continued. They had about 200 soldiers aboard, plus ammunition and food. We put torpedoes into the 2 largest barges and machine gunned the rest. Only one made it back to port, and it was shot full of holes. The PT boats were perfect for this kind of work. Fast enough to outrun anything they couldn't outfight, shallow draft enough to operate in coastal waters where larger ships couldn't go, and heavily armed enough to destroy anything smaller than a destroyer. They were closing off the last escape routes for Japanese forces trapped in the Philippines. By January 1945, our stranglehold on the Philippines was complete. Japanese shipping losses had reached catastrophic levels. Over 100 major vessels sunk in just 3 months of operations. Transport ships, destroyers, cruisers, coastal freighters, supply barges, and even submarines had fallen victim to our relentless campaign. The numbers told the story better than any battle report. Intelligence estimated that the Japanese had lost over 200,000 tons of shipping in the Philippine waters during this period. More importantly, they had lost the ability to reinforce or resupply their remaining garrisons. The troops on Luzon, Mindanao, and the smaller islands were now completely cut off from Japan. I flew my final mission of this campaign on January 18, 1945. We were targeting the last significant Japanese naval force in the area, a cruiser and 3 destroyers that had been hiding in Manila Bay, hoping to make a run for Formosa under cover of bad weather. The weather was terrible, low clouds, rain squalls, and rough seas. But our radar had found them, and Task Force 38 was determined to finish the job. We launched in conditions that would have grounded us earlier in the war, but by now we were all veterans with hundreds of combat hours. I found the cruiser first, emerging from a rain squall like a gray ghost. She was the Ashigara, a heavy cruiser that had been operating in the Pacific since before the war started. Now she was making her final run, trying to escape the trap we had built around the Philippines. My first rocket attack damaged her forward turret, sending smoke streaming from her gun mount. I came around for another pass, but Lieutenant Chen beat me to it, putting both his rockets into her superstructure and starting fires that quickly spread along her deck. The dive bombers finished her off. I watched from above as 12,000-pound bombs bracketed the cruiser, lifting her nearly out of the water with the force of the explosions. When the smoke cleared, she was listing heavily to port and settling by the bow. 20 minutes later, the Ashigara rolled over and sank, taking most of her crew with her. It was the last major Japanese warship to be sunk in Philippine waters, and it marked the end of organized Japanese naval resistance in the area. As I flew back to the Essex that day, I couldn't help but think about what we had accomplished and what it had cost. In 3 months of intensive operations, we had effectively destroyed the Japanese merchant marine in the Philippines. Over 100 ships had been sent to the bottom, representing years of construction and thousands of trained sailors. But the victory hadn't come without cost to us either. We had lost 18 aircraft and 14 aircrews during the campaign. Good men like Ensign Peters, who was shot down on that first convoy attack but rescued by a destroyer, and Lieutenant Commander Harris, who died when his Helderver took a direct hit from anti-aircraft fire during a strike on Manila Harbor. The Japanese losses were staggering by comparison. Conservative estimates put their shipping losses at over 100 vessels of all sizes, from 10,000-ton transports to small coastal barges. More than that, they had lost the experienced crews needed to operate those ships. Japan's merchant marine, already stretched thin by 3 years of war, had been dealt a blow from which it could never recover. The strategic impact was even more significant. With their supply lines cut, Japanese forces in the Philippines were slowly starving. Ammunition was running low, fuel was almost gone, and medical supplies were non-existent. The 275,000 Japanese troops still in the Philippines were now fighting with whatever they had on hand, with no hope of reinforcement or resupply. On February 1, 1945, I was transferred back to the United States for a well-deserved leave. As the Essex sailed toward Pearl Harbor, I stood on the flight deck and looked back toward the Philippines one last time. The islands were now firmly under American control, and the sea lanes we had fought so hard to close were beginning to reopen to Allied shipping. In my final tally, I had flown 68 combat missions during the Philippine campaign, shot down 7 enemy aircraft, and participated in the sinking of 15 Japanese ships. But more importantly, I had been part of something larger, a coordinated campaign that had effectively ended Japan's ability to conduct major naval operations in the Pacific. The closing of the Noose around the Philippines represented more than just a tactical victory. It was proof that American industrial might, combined with the skill and courage of our servicemen, could defeat any enemy anywhere in the world. The same factories that had been building cars and refrigerators before the war were now turning out aircraft carriers, fighter planes, and destroyers faster than the enemy could sink them. But perhaps most importantly, it showed that the Japanese strategy of fighting a defensive war from fortified islands was doomed to failure. By cutting their supply lines, we had turned their island strongholds into prisons. Without reinforcement or resupply, even the most determined garrison would eventually have to surrender. The success of our shipping campaign in the Philippines was part of a larger strategy that was strangling Japan itself. Similar operations were being conducted throughout the Pacific, from the Marshalls to the Marianas to the waters around Japan itself. American submarines were sinking Japanese merchant vessels faster than they could be replaced, and our carrier aircraft were destroying anything that tried to move by daylight. Captain Ofsty explained it to us during one of his briefings. "Gentlemen, we're not just sinking ships. We're destroying Japan's ability to wage war. Every transport we send to the bottom means fewer supplies reaching their troops. Every tanker we sink means less fuel for their aircraft and ships. Every freighter we destroy means less raw material reaching their factories." The numbers supported his assessment. By early 1945, Japan's merchant fleet had been reduced to less than one-third of its pre-war size. The empire that had once controlled shipping lanes from Southeast Asia to the Central Pacific was now unable to supply its own home islands adequately. Our success in the Philippines had been particularly important because it cut the supply line between Japan and the resource-rich areas of Southeast Asia. The oil fields of the Dutch East Indies, the rubber plantations of Malaya, and the rice fields of Indochina were now effectively beyond Japanese reach. Without these resources, Japan's war machine was slowly grinding to a halt. But behind every statistic was a human story. As I prepared to return to the United States, I thought about the Japanese sailors and soldiers whose ships we had sent to the bottom. They were fighting for their country, just as we were fighting for ours, and many of them had died far from home in the cold waters of the Pacific. I also thought about our own losses. Lieutenant Bobby Chen, who had flown wing for me on dozens of missions, was shot down during a strike on a Japanese convoy near Mindanao. We saw his parachute, but he landed in Japanese-controlled territory, and we never learned what happened to him. Lieutenant Commander Sullivan's PT boat was sunk by a Japanese destroyer during a night action off Palawan. He and 8 of his crew were killed instantly when the boat's fuel tanks exploded. These were the faces behind our victory, young men who had left their homes in America to fight a war in places most of them had never heard of before 1941. Some of them would return home to parades and celebrations. Others, like Chen and Sullivan, would remain forever in the waters of the Pacific. Even as we celebrated our success in the Philippines, the war was far from over. Intelligence reports indicated that Japan was preparing for a final, desperate defense of its home islands. Every American serviceman knew that the invasion of Japan would be the costliest operation of the war, potentially requiring millions of Allied casualties. But our victory in the Philippines had made that invasion more likely to succeed. With Japan's merchant fleet destroyed and its supply lines cut, the enemy would have fewer resources to defend against our assault. The aircraft we had shot down over the Philippines would not be available to attack our invasion beaches. The ships we had sunk would not be carrying reinforcements to oppose our landings. As the Essex approached Pearl Harbor, I received orders for my next assignment. After a 30-day leave, I would report to Naval Air Station Alameda to begin training on the new F-8F Bearcat fighter. The Navy was preparing for the invasion of Japan, and they needed experienced pilots to lead the new squadrons that would spearhead the attack. Looking back now, decades after the war ended, I can see that our campaign against Japanese shipping in the Philippines was one of the decisive operations of the Pacific War. It demonstrated several key principles that would influence naval warfare for generations to come. First, it proved the importance of coordinated air and sea power. Our success came not from any single type of operation, but from the combination of carrier aviation, land-based bombers, submarines, and surface ships all working together toward a common goal. The Japanese never developed an effective counter to this integrated approach. Second, it showed the vulnerability of sea-based supply lines to air attack. In an age of radar, long-range aircraft, and precision weapons, it was no longer possible for merchant vessels to cross contested waters safely. This lesson would prove relevant in future conflicts, from the Falklands War to the Persian Gulf. Third, it demonstrated the importance of industrial capacity in modern warfare. America's ability to build ships, aircraft, and weapons faster than the enemy could destroy them was the foundation of our victory. By 1945, we were operating more than 100 aircraft carriers of various types, compared to Japan's handful of remaining vessels. When I finally returned to my hometown of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in March 1945, the war in Europe was almost over and everyone knew that Japan couldn't hold out much longer. The atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August finally ended the fighting, making the invasion of Japan unnecessary. But for those of us who had fought in the Pacific, the war's end brought mixed emotions. We were grateful to be alive and proud of what we had accomplished, but we also knew that victory had come at a terrible price. Over 400,000 Americans had died in World War II, and millions more carried physical and emotional scars that would last the rest of their lives. The sinking of over 100 Japan ships in the waters around the Philippines was just one small part of a much larger conflict that had consumed the world for 6 years. But it was our part, and we had done it well. We had closed the noose around the Philippines so tightly that nothing could escape, cutting off an entire Japanese army and navy from their homeland. In the end, that's what war comes down to. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things under impossible circumstances. We were young men from farms and cities across America who found ourselves fighting for our lives above the blue waters of the Pacific. We learned to fly complicated machines, to shoot down enemy aircraft, and to sink enemy ships. We learned to kill, and we learned to watch our friends die. But we also learned something else, that when America puts its mind to something, there's no force on earth that can stop us. The same industrial might that built our cities and railroads in peacetime could be turned to building the greatest military force in human history. The same spirit that had settled the frontier and built the transcontinental railroad could be channeled into victory over fascism and militarism. As I write this, decades after the war ended, I can still hear the sound of those 18 cylinders in my F6F Hellcat, still see the flash of rockets exploding against Japanese ships, still remember the faces of the men who fought and died alongside me in the skies over the Philippines. They were the best generation America ever produced, and I was proud to serve with them. The noose we closed around the Philippines was just one strand in a larger net that eventually strangled the Japanese war machine completely. But it was our strand, and we pulled it tight. Over 100 enemy ships went to the bottom on our watch, and with them went Japan's last hope of victory in the Pacific. We had done our job, and we had done it well. That, in the end, is all any soldier can ask for, the chance to serve his country with honor and to help secure victory for the cause of freedom. We got that chance in the waters around the Philippines in 1944 and 1945, and we made the most of it. The ships we sank, the aircraft we shot down, and the supply lines we severed all contributed to the eventual Allied victory and the creation of the world we live in today. It was, as they say, the good war, a clear-cut struggle between right and wrong, democracy and dictatorship, freedom and oppression. And for a brief moment in history, those of us who fought in it were part of something larger than ourselves. We were part of America at its finest hour, and no one can ever take that away from us.